think next question here for Justin. It's from Matt. It's asking, can you share what challenges you've faced during the program and how you've overcome them? So perhaps you can give us a little insight, Justin, today on maybe one of the biggest problems that you've tackled.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really, really good question. I think for me, you know, as I think about this question, you know, coming in from my past experience around research and development, very technical, and my first role that I'm currently in was diving right into a new channel of trade, a new business model in our retail business on the West Coast. So I came in, the big challenge was like, I don't know retail. I'm not big on financial P&Ls. And so, you know, coming in a little bit of deer in headlights, but what I will say with that, overcoming that challenge was that the support, the guidance, the leadership, the mentorship, the sponsorship that you get in the FLP program, but also just BP in general, has really been extremely helpful to teach me those technical skills, those different technical skills that I didn't have in order to be effective into my role. So they don't just drop you into a role and say, okay, well, we'll see you in a year or two, good luck. You know, there's really a lot of support in teaching you so that you're getting the skill set, the knowledge to be able to do your job effectively. I mean, because the big thing that they're looking for with FLPs is that leadership, those leadership potentials, those leadership skills. And so when you go from role to role, you're going to be dealing with something new, something you haven't done before. And there's kind of a little bit of an expectation that, you know, despite that challenge that you're going to face or something learned that you need to do that you've never done before, BP believes that you have that potential to overcome that and to tackle it. And so for me, that's kind of been one example of a key challenge that I've had to face. And again, the people throughout the organization will help you, you know, coming into the program. So. That's all I have.
Scott, I think you are on mute.
Yeah, great. So I'm going to ask, sorry about that, a couple of questions or answer a few questions just on recruitment and eligibility. And then I'm going to head back over for another question to Luigi. So folks are asking, I graduated in 2017. Can I apply? Absolutely. I'm graduating in 2019. That would be absolutely perfect. We generally look for FLPs to join us and at the beginning of June now. And we're trying to bring all of our FLPs in around the same time of the year so that we can have a global induction. Obviously, there's some flexibility. So there may be some flexibility either side of that date, but we're trying to bring folks in. The other reason for that is it helps us to manage rotations on the program. One thing I would say, though, is that's not part of the recruitment criteria. So we're not going to not hire anybody because they can't join on one day of the year. But just to note, I know obviously there's different graduation times during the year, but we look to try and bring folks in now at the beginning of June every year. So I'll come back to a couple more of the recruitment questions, but I'm going to head over to Luigi for a question here in terms of sustainability. So the question is asking Luigi, in terms of sustainability in the long run, what is BP's strategy? Is it to phase out oil and gas in general, or will there still be a part for oil and gas to play within the renewable energy mix?
Very good. Another great question. Thanks. I'm making notes so I don't forget all the elements of the question. Listen, it's a great question. Sustainability, if you pick up a little bit, I went very quickly on that, but when you do a new strategy, there is normally 2-3 big questions that you try to answer. This is why you do strategy review. Normally, it's fundamental question that will dictate what you're going to do, how you're going to operate in the next 5 to 10 years that you need to address. At the heart of the new strategy of BP is really what I called before the dual challenge. I don't know if you noticed in the video as well. The dual challenge that demand will continue growing. There's no question about it. And it's coming, there is an expansive demand in Asia, in China on its own, India, and even in traditional market, more developed economies, you will continue to see a demand of energy. So that's a fact. That's going to happen, okay? So how we respond is very important because we do want to take a share of those customers and that demand, no question about it. That's why we are in business. But we want to do in a more sustainable way, the right way, if you think about it. This is why the dual channel has been at the heart of the strategy. And this is why some of the things that shifting the portfolio from pure crudes, 20 years ago, the element of crude was, I don't remember the exact number, but definitely was around the 80% plus. And having a portfolio more balanced, 50-50 between crude and gas is definitely part of our strategy. That's one element. The other thing is having sustainability as a key element in the way that you drive and measure performance across all our activities. I just said our refinery in the past, they were, probably 10, 15 years ago, the only key performance indicator were things like what is the production level, the turnaround time, the downtime time, et cetera, et cetera. Today, emission measures is one of the elements definitely that is considered there. And in the same way, as I tried to give you a few examples before, that is happening in every part of our business. And there is a third way to look beyond, if you think traditional energy is, as your question mentioned, alternative energy. Yes, I think wind and solar is an area that's, as I say, we are present in wind. We own and operate very large wind farm in Europe and in the US, and at the same time we are partnering, with other stakeholders in solar ventures, as I mentioned before. So alternative energy will play a key role in the future. Reality is that in the next 20, 30 years, the need of more traditional energy like hydrocarbons from crude or gas would still be predominant. That's simply statistic. Online you can find the BP statistical review, which is an official publication and almost a reference in industry about what are the projections in terms of need of crude, need of gas, where the energy demand will come from, etc. And it's even now referenced in that book about what is the level of electrification, for example, in a number of vehicles. The reality is that in the next 20 years, the rate of electrification will increase significantly, but still the electric vehicles, the expectation on the number of electric vehicles, for example, as part of the total vehicle park, it will be still not meaningful. It will be almost insignificant in many aspects. So the rebalancing of the portfolio is the name of the game in the new strategy. And beyond that, as I mentioned before, it's even going beyond the traditional and the alternative energy. So when we are talking about the low carbon ventures, that's our other aspect, how the company is diversifying and, more important, contributing to a more sustainable solution to this increasing demand that will continue happening, whether we want it or not.